It's 19 for those who aren't in the fingernail.
What? The fingernail.
No,
Anyway.
just go with it. It's fine.
Hello. Welcome to this video of Geass. This is the episode 19 video where we watch episode 19 and we talk about it.
You can call me Mama Hen from now on.
I don't know what bird this is, but you can call me whatever this bird is.
Seagull.
What was that?
It's my seagull noise.
Oh.
Steven Seagull. Guys, I am on a different level today. I hope you're prepared. We won't count any wheels.
Did you just like light up a big fat
I don't
doobie
know.
before you came here today?
Know.
What the heck?
I don't know.
What? Anyway.
I am in rare form.
Last episode, everyone died.
Yeah, a lot of people died.
Everyone's dead.
The journalist wanted to kill Suzaku, and Lelouch was like, "Whoa, bro. Slow your roll." He's trying to make a better joke, but I'm...
Slow down.
Slow your roll. Who do you think you are? Also, I made a comment last time about terrorist units. I don't remember what it was. But it was funny.
It was a cryptocurrency analogy.
Oh, yeah. Decentralization. Terrorism.
Yeah, so Schneisel has appeared, blown up everybody with something out of the cargo hold of his Avion.
Which, that's a cool name for a ship.
Avion? Avalon? I don't remember. I think it was Avalon.
I thought it was Avion. Anyway, it was a cool name for a shape.
Yeah.
Shape.
The brother whom we have heard so much about has finally entered the story.
Revealed himself?
Yes. Entered the story proper and isn't just a person, a body filling a chair at a funeral. Yeah, so everyone's dead. How about we just see what happens?
Let's go.
Jump in?
Yep.
Great.
Hey, it's you!
Seagulls.
Not you. Still not you.
Where's the Lancelot? Zero! Oh. It's no use. I can't remember anything.
Oh, because he uses Geass on him at the end of the episode.
Where am I?
Where am I? Intro credits. Yeah, this didn't have the usual voiceover teaser.
Because they had that explosion, and then we were like, oh, they're probably all dead.
And they're not dead, obviously, but they're all on this island that they're like, what the heck? Where am I?
It could be a peninsula. All I've seen is one shore. I don't know. What do you think family reunions are like with these multiple sets of noble children? Probably terrible.
Island of the Gods.
Just as I thought. This is another island. There's no way to contact anyone without an income. But what's more important right now is to find a source of drinkable water and shelter. Oh. Colin, it can't be. Excuse me! I don't believe it. It's really you? Colin Stockfeld, I don't believe it!
Contacting Ogie and the others is going to be a chore. Although, I suppose I could pass myself off as an ordinary person and ask the Britannian forces to rescue me.
And you don't know what happened either. When you came to, you found yourself on this island.
Serves you right. When my people get here, you're the one who'll be a prisoner.
Okay, before he does, tell me one thing. Tell me who he really is.
Why don't you find out for yourself?
Oh, I see. You don't know either.
How did...
I knew it.
You tricked me?
Double bluff.
Isn't masking one's identity a bigger fraud?
Lelouch. Lelouch, it's you, isn't it? I haven't told anyone about you, I swear. Please, before you shoot, Let me at least see your face.
You.
How does she know? How did she know it was him?
She's a detective.
Lelouch.
Imagine seeing your brother that you thought was dead for the last 10 years.
Whatever he used on them must have been a teleport or something then.
Princess Euphemia!
You told me to gather data before practical application, correct?
Because I'm extremely interested in whatever you create. I needed to see if this could be made real.
And the Hadron Cannon?
We wanted to know if the thing worked. I've been looking forward to meeting you, Miss Cecile Krumi. I am...
Prince Schneizel, right here?
You impudent little... How dare you look down upon
Bartley.
the second prince of the Empire?
He's back too.
General Bartley!
Nice one.
You're not injured, I hope. Yes, I'm Prince Schneizel El Britannia. Please, give me your hand.
Yes?
Ugh, she's unworthy.
General, you're quite a devoted subject, aren't you?
Primarily because the prince is the one who commuted my sentence and saved me from being chained up deep beneath Temple Tower.
Now, my Lady Cecile, if you'll excuse me.
Your Highness.
Farewell.
You can wait for me at the base, Cecile.
Please wait. Were those orders yesterday issued by the prince?
Silence! You do not want to be in contempt of royalty, do you?
Those orders were mine, Miss Cecile. I also fired the Hadron. Even in a situation like that, priorities mustn't be forgotten. Besides, if something anomalous happened, we would have still been able to rescue him. That's what I gambled on.
Yes, my lord. I understand now. And I sorely regret my rudeness. I accept any punishment you decree.
Nonsense. It's my fault for not protecting my subordinates. Can you ever forgive me?
Seems overly,
Back during the hotel jacket.
not self-deprecating, but just like
I said too much without thinking.
appeasing
I
and...
wasn't convinced until now.
I'm naive as well. Even so, why didn't you discuss it with Cornelia?
I didn't because my sister never listens to me. Nonnally, how is she?
She's living with me, but she's still blind and crippled.
The hatred you must feel for us.
I only want to find out one thing. Do you know anything about the circumstance in which my mother was murdered?
I'm sorry. It seems my sisters investigated it extensively, though. Cornelia thought a lot of Lady Marianne and really looked up to her. May I ask you something now?
Huh?
Are you Zero? Or are you...
I'm Lelouch.
Gotcha!
Oh, wow. You're not bad at that.
I'm going to dig a hole in the forest. I caught a fish.
What? I'll let you loose if you promise to help me find food. Is that a deal?
You're not gonna win me over, so why try? What do you take me for?
Man, you're stubborn. You're not anything like the way you are at school.
I actually think he likes it.
Why don't you let me help you?
a more stubborn Callan.
Labor.
Oh, Suzaku.
Yeah.
Royal princess. Don't worry.
Enemy battleship has passed us.
We can't remain in this area any longer. The risk is too great. We should pull out of here.
I disagree. We ought to at least stay put and look for Zero.
He has a point.
But we can't send out a search party in this situation. One wrong step, and we threaten the very existence of our organization.
It's entirely the other way around. This entire organization is built around Zero.
It's not a group without members. The way you speak, you sound like a typical Britannian to me.
Answer me this. We have followers of almost every ideology under the sun gathered here. Yet, how is it that the whole lot of them can cooperate and work together toward the same goal?
I'll be the first to admit that he does. But is he worth the lives of everyone?
At times, the life of a single man is worth more than those of a million. I thought that would be common sense to a soldier.
You dare say that here?
Easy, guys.
Oh, all right. Then I'll tell you. He's very much alive.
We've no time for your wishful thinking.
The information's true. I simply know it.
Oh, you're an oracle now? I told you to shut your trap and to get some training on a nightmare, you dumbass!
Dumbass? Oh, really? It's been ages since anyone's dared to refer to me in such a rude manner.
Like Zero's mistress has any right to get uppity with us.
I said you were wrong.
You're a man who only has vulgar ideas.
You've got a lot of nerve talking to your superior like that!
Look, this whole conversation's gotten out of hand. Okay, how about this? We hang in a safe zone, an ocean area just out of detection range where we can wait until the end of tomorrow. How does that sound for a time limit?
All right. Well, I suppose we have no choice.
For heaven's sake, I was forced to talk with that boring little man thanks to your silly prank. You sent Colin to the island? You have very poor taste for being such an imperious observer.
Who's she talking to? Us. Since whoever she's talking to had a hand in teleporting them.
I can't eat another bite. Boy, am I stuffed.
So is this a glimpse of what you're really like?
Yeah, you want to make something of it?
No, I think it's charming to see you so much livelier than you are at school. Colin, leave the Black Knights. It's not too late. A captured terrorist never winds up with a happy ending.
I thought you weren't so bad, and then you showed your true colors. Well, that won't work. I happen to be the captain of Zero's elite guard, and in fact, I fought you in my nightmare.
Were you that red one?
Yeah, and even if I lose my life doing it, I'll beat that nightmare of yours someday.
Using Zero's methods offers no future.
And what about your future, then? To just live the life of a conqueror's subjugated lapdog, an honorary Britannian? Or to be the knight of a third princess? Ha! The name of Genbu Kururuki, the last samurai, weeps! I am not you. The world is wrong, and I'm trying to change it. If I don't, my brother's death will have been for nothing. That's my reason for fighting. And I'll do whatever it takes to win.
Colin, the truth is, I killed my father. My father didn't commit suicide. I took his life with this hand.
The stars haven't changed, have they? They were the same back then. Long ago, we all used to gaze up at the stars together. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could live like that again? I'd be so happy then.
Zero is a lot like my father. He firmly believes that the entire world revolves around him. That's why he's able to justify spilling the blood of so many people.
That's why you accept the way things are now? You call that peace? Some things are more important than your life, you know!
It isn't that I want you to give up. I just want you to ask yourself, when you gain results the wrong way, what are you left with in the end? Only dark regret and a deep emptiness that have nowhere to go.
Then explain something. What higher purpose did the death of my brother serve? Who gets to sit in judgment? Who decides whether it's right or wrong?
Something Suzaku had been asking about the inverse.
We couldn't find Major Kururugi washed ashore on the other island, so it's obvious we should look here.
We'll send a search party out in the morning.
And this must be what you mentioned?
Yes, we uncovered it when the Shinjuku incident occurred.
Ah, yes, I can see why this would have attracted Clovis's interest.
Are you sure you really saw a light?
Yeah.
It must be a search party. Once we learn who it is, we'll know how to deal with them.
A thought elevator, you say? I'm afraid archaeology isn't my strong suit, especially this paranormal stuff.
Why, you... Show some respect!
As I was saying, this is way outside of my field.
Please don't complain so much. My father is infatuated with this as well. Isn't that right, Bartley?
Yes, we found artifacts similar to these in a number of places around the world. Except for this one that I discovered, all the other sites are directly under Imperial control. This is mere speculation on my part, but I think the real reason we're invading other countries is to obtain these objects.
I think it was
that mech is the druid system, or is that something that...
I think the Gawain, I think they're using some type of system inside it, inside the prototype mech they brought, I think.
Okay.
What are those two doing together?
Suzaku!
Don't move! I'll take back my subordinate you have there. We'll exchange prisoners.
Leave him alone! Shut up, you royal puppet! You're useless! What?
I'm not afraid of you, Suzaku. I command you to fight.
Your Highness!
With pleasure!
You hard-headed fool!
Major Kururugi!
Hi!
Zero?
Look, Zero, that's a nightmare over there.
Perfect! We'll use that! Let's go!
Right.
This is good. Not only unmanned, but activated too.
Form a wall in front of Princess Euphemia! Hurry!
What kind of nightmare is this? It's my lucky day. Schneisel!
So that's him? That's Zero?
Schneisel! Next time!
Sutherlands are blocking our exit.
Hang on tight! I'm going through them!
Huh?
Why doesn't she get inside? Yeah, it'd be cramped, but I can't believe that being on the outside of a mech is by any means safe. Okay, I have a complaint. They're firing bullets at the mech.
At their prototype mech?
Yeah, which is fine. She's on the outside of it.
Look away! Our beautiful prize, Gawain!
Well, it was only a test model. Aside from that, things were both all right.
Man, nothing happened that episode.
There's a lot of that, I've noticed.
Seems like the whole series is going to end with almost nothing happening.
Oh man, where to begin? I guess top of my list, Euphemia knew that Zero might have been Lelouch.
Yeah, she didn't explain how though. I've got a sidetrack here for a second.
Okay, all right.
I don't have thoughts for it yet, so I'll get to it.
Okay, make a note. We'll come back to it then.
Yes, note made. I thought it was interesting that it originally appeared like it was going to be a battle royale, like 4 people on the island. They've both like conflicting ideologies with Suzaku and Kalin, and then Yuffie and Lelouch.
Yuffie and Lelouch had it interesting because they're both sort of leaders of their different sides, but they're also they had a fairly friendly interaction together.
Right. Because she knew it was him somehow, which was interesting. But I almost wish that this was maybe a 2-part episode, because it seems like you could have gotten more information from the characters.
Yeah.
With their like having to survive with one another, because when you put 2 conflicting characters together in a story, drama happens, and the reason that we engage in story is drama.
Like this could have been really milked for a lot of really, really good stuff.
Right. Yeah. Especially because there's a lot of questions that happen where you could easily, this could have been 2 episodes.
Well, yeah. I know I've said this to you, but I don't know if I've ever said this while we're recording this session. But I know one of the things I mentioned at some point in time was that I think a lot of the flaws of the show definitely are in some way, shape, or form could be traced as results of the format being, a
24 minute episode.
20 to 24 minute episode.
Right.
And that this show would really lend itself to like a 44 minute live action Game of Thrones style type of production. And yeah, like there's a lot of stuff where the drama could be really, could really evolve out of naturally, but they, because of the time limit format, they're just like, okay, hit these points and let's move on. Which it is what it is.
I thought that was interesting that they paired this together. I like it. We still don't know how they got to the island.
Something about the whatever it is that C2's talking to all the time has some hand in it.
That mouth that we saw in the episode when they stepped on the Geass.
So right there, yeah, we saw a blonde child standing in the sky ruins in the clouds when that happened.
Yep.
With the place that we've seen the Emperor standing in previous things with him. So
could be another bastard kid. Who knows? I mean, you said there was 12, 17 kids. There's like a lot of them.
Well, Lelouch was 17th in line.
Yeah, 17th.
So Nunnally's younger than him, so there's more than that. And if you also imagine that he probably has had other kids since them too, so who knows?
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of them. So could be
24.
Could be the
more.
reason that he's had a lot of them is to simply achieve this child that we saw. Don't know. Schneisel has the appearance, because we've never met him before, that he could be a quality leader. Maybe.
He's got a lot of maybe not compassion, but he's definitely seems to
personal responsibility.
Yeah, there's
for his role,
right? Personal
as a leader.
responsibility, but even in just a lot of those brief interactions we saw with him, he seems to carry a lot of weight and regret about a lot of the hard choices that he makes too. I mean, we just basically only have those few interactions, but like, we did these things, yes. It pains me that we did them, but we did them.
Right.
And we will probably do them again, but it doesn't make them not hard. So he's got that sort of like self-guilt on him, but carries forward regardless.
Personal responsibility is what I'd call it. Just for his position, he understands like, I'm a leader, I have this role to fulfill, I have to make hard decisions, and I had to make hard decisions.
He's the second prince. Now
he was younger than
there's
Clovis, right?
No,
he's older than Clovis.
Clovis, I think, was the third prince. So I say this because I don't think this is a spoiler. We do eventually see the first prince, and I might rehash some of this again at a later point.
Sure.
But if you think about, I remember something you'd said early on with like family relationships about like, well, as long as, early on in the show, it's like Lelouch is probably a bastard and all of these sorts of things. So as long as the first child is there, everyone else after that sort of doesn't matter.
Yeah, basically.
Right. But we've also heard Lelouch in other episodes talk about how like you have the nobles sort of fighting for who will be the one to succeed the emperor. And we also in the last episode heard the emperor say something, oh, if Schneissel's going to challenge me, let him try.
Yeah.
But it makes me think about how like Schneissel's the second prince, which means he's not the next one. He wouldn't be the one the throne goes to.
Right.
But he's also, with what we've seen of everyone, he seems to be the most leader-like of, say, of Lelouch, of Clovis, of Euphemia, of Cornelia. Well, Cornelia's a great military general sort of person. He seems to, so far.
Well, yeah, if you're not going to get the throne, you got to be good at something else. It's kind of what it takes. The other interesting thing about royalty is that if you're the one to succeed the throne, the king doesn't really have much to worry about as long as that person, because that person is going to defend the throne, assuming that they are loyal to you, or they'll just try and take the throne themselves.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to be a good leader or a good military person for your throne for yourself. It's even better if your firstborn son, well, in this case,
we haven't met him.
But because they'll be an ally, they'll be an alliance together. If for some reason the other kids decide to overthrow that person,
right,
or the king.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but in this sort of scenario, we have this sort of like you could say like Lelouch. He's 17th in line to the throne, or he was before he denounced his claim.
Right.
But like he's like 17th in line to the throne, kills Clovis, 16th.
Making my way up the ladder. Got it. Callan said something interesting on the island. Some things are more important than your life, So this is a really interesting phrase, and it's actually a truth that exists in the world, where the reason we get behind things, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, I don't care if you're a communist, I don't care if you are a Christian or a Buddhist or whatever, like people desire to step outside themselves for a purpose. It's this idea of purpose is she's touching on. Which is really interesting because what we've done today in the world, I'm stepping out of the show a second, is we're a generation of purposeless people. Because social media has become our new purpose, to get likes and to have attention given to us. and we are the reason that there's such a high. I'm going to correlate.
Yeah.
I believe there's a correlation between lack of purpose and depression and negative thoughts and suicidal thoughts.
Definitely.
And all these things because there's nothing for you to put an anchor of hope into.
Mm-hmm.
And so due to the lack of purpose, people like us will flounder and then we'll find ourselves in this cyclic negative thought processes because you don't, unless you have an anchor in something. And one of my favorite dead philosophers, Blaise Pascal, you and I have talked about this a dozen times. In one of his pensees, he was a French Renaissance guy, so he did arithmetic and philosophy and physics, and he pushed all of them. Really impressive. But he says in one of his pensees, I think it's 248, the stem of humanity's problems is that man cannot sit alone in a room, cannot sit quietly alone in a room.
Yeah.
And so the challenge to the reader is, well, I can do that.
To try and sit alone in a room.
This guy's an idiot. I can do that. So he plays on one of our flaws, which is pride as humans, to go try and do this. It's hard to sit alone in a room with yourself. It's hard to sit alone with yourself just in today's world because we're flooded with all these thoughts. But you sit alone, you meet yourself for an hour. It's very Eastern, very mystic. People don't do it, but you should. It's really great exercise. The thing that you'll discover when you do that is that you can't self-define. And so because we can't give ourselves a purpose, we have to find something external.
Externalize our purpose. Yeah.
Well,
or
yes,
external, like
it's but you're saying that we're creating the purpose.
Ideal.
We're not necessarily creating the purpose. We're attaching ourselves to a purpose.
Yeah.
We aren't necessarily creating it. Although you could go as far as like if say there's a new political faction called the Junior Associates of Cup, and like yes we could create that, but it's still like we're not necessarily creating it. We just want something to attach to, and we just put terms to it. So this premise that she says of like some things are more important than your life, it's this idea of purpose, and we live in a very purposeless world right now due to the fact that we have everything at our fingertips, and we are, I think really what it gets to is this lack of
a higher purpose to aim yourself or point yourself towards.
It's this idea of sacrificing yourself for something. Like when you live for something more than yourself, or you put purpose into something above yourself, you're actually realizing that one of the truths about life is that we're supposed to live for more than ourselves. Like you can be a hedonist and realize that life just sucks. You can have every pleasure in the world, drugs, people, everything. You can own slaves or not own slaves. It doesn't matter. Like being a hedonist, you'll realize that life is meaningless because you have no purpose except for pleasure, and pleasure is not purpose. Pleasure is supposed to be enjoyed like food. It's supposed to be something you have here and there, but it's not purpose. And whenever I wish I didn't have a hard day at work. I wish I didn't have this. That podcast you and I listened to, the guy talks about how the resistance of life, we were even talking about it a minute ago, like you're more of the reserved person and I'm like running forward in life for our business stuff, not like him as a person.
Well, just like, and then how those things kind of work with each other.
Together.
Like you need them both.
If I didn't have any resistance from you in our business stuff,
you'd run off and you would fail. You would jump into all of these different things that you'd go on for forever and they'd all fall apart. Whereas like having,
something might succeed, but like the resistance helps me get stronger to succeed quicker.
It allows the bad ideas to have a quick death, so you can try and find other ideas that might actually be good ones.
Right. Yeah. To kind of nip this one in and then move forward on our conversation about the show. My challenge to you as the viewer is if you don't feel like you have a purpose, you need to sit everything else down in your life and go find your purpose, because it's an absolute truth about life. Without purpose, you flounder and you feel worthless. And so one of the things that Pascal gets into is identity is the value of your life. And so purpose helps you hone in on what your identity is called to be. And without that, you will feel worthless and you'll feel like you're just... like your sand is pouring through your hands like a time glass.
Maybe another way to close this out in something on a smaller scale that's maybe easier to point to is so like we've all heard the saying spread around at different times of like it's not about life isn't about the destination, it's about the journey.
And Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Well, it's like Yes, but a lot of people, at least that I see, tend to have said that in the sense of like, almost as a way to justify not having a destination and that they're just, you know, floundering around lost in the woods sort of
It's
thing.
also a justification
like
for living for today, not in today.
Well, it's like the journey is very important, but you need to have a destination in mind. So like you talk about purpose, having goals, having something that you're working towards.
Yeah.
So like, you know, bringing it from maybe into something smaller scale that's easier to define.
It doesn't have to be that you're building the next Microsoft. Not everyone's supposed to be a business person.
Yeah.
Some people need to be artists and teachers and like whatever. Like, but there's a purpose for everyone. And if you haven't found it, you're doing yourself a disservice as well as the people that you're going to be in community with by not going to find your purpose, because we all have a voice. And even if you don't feel like you have a voice, I just want to encourage you. You have a voice, even if you haven't found it yet. That you get to influence this world and change it. Anyway, done with that. We'll move on. We're back to the show, but
turning it back into the show about, you know, spiritualityness and other things. So, Bartley has reappeared, and so last we saw him, he was being sent off to the mainland by Jeremiah.
Yep.
And apparently, while there, the Prince Schneisel commuted his sentence to have him work with him. And I imagine the way it sounds like somewhere through those conversations, what Bartley was doing with experiments on C2 came up while he was working under Clovis.
Yep.
And so that ties in with how apparently at the beginning of the show, chronologically during that time, this ruins was discovered that they went to. And now Bartley's free. He's like, hey, Schneisel, I found this working for Clovis. Let's go there. So that sounds like why Schneisel is there, something about these ruins, which I think ties back into what we heard briefly in the previous episode about how the Emperor's like, what? If Schniesel's so confident, let him challenge me. And Bartley's own speculation about, I think the real reason we're invading all of these other nations is to collect these artifacts.
Right.
And I mean, we've seen the Emperor in sky ruins on some place, so...
Can we... I don't know if this is... I hope that this viewer is still watching, the person who told us about the subtleties of this production company making commentary about Japanese culture or whatever.
I don't remember... I know what you're talking about.
I
don't know their name. Yeah, I remember the comment very well, though.
I'm curious if this part of the plot is also in relevance to something tied with that. Like, this person clearly knows more than we do about the subtleties of the show.
Right.
So this is my question. If it is, I want to know, because I don't have time or knowledge of where to start to look into like so if you know that this like idea of invasion to find artifacts is somehow a commentary about something, I would like to know. I that's my
like something I'm curious about. Like, I don't know if this is the case, but I know that there's been a lot of both, I guess, not myths, but sort of just stories in general about how like Nazi Germany had invaded a lot and went through a lot of Egypt and like North Africa and Europe, also trying to find various artifacts that have some religious things with it.
Which is a super interesting kind of mystical.
Yeah.
It gives credence to a spiritual realm or a second realm or aliens or something.
A whole occult sort of
depending on, well, it doesn't just have to be a cult. Like,
right. But
because the Crusades kind of went for stuff like that, and that wasn't a cult. Like, so it's I want to say esoteric. Is that the right word? I don't. Maybe not the right word. But there's like today's reality of the physical things in front of me, and then there's an additional reality that I want to tap into or power or whatever through the use of artifacts, symbols, locations, whatever that, which brings in this idea of like, we have so many stories that speak to an additional realm that exists across the board. So it makes me, well, my conclusion was that there is one, but I think it's interesting that across all cultures, there's always stories about a second realm,
some other place that we don't understand.
Right. D&D is a great example of like, you have the Shadowlands, where it's like the death side of things, or
the Upside Down.
Right. Yeah. Another great one.
Stranger Things.
C.S. Lewis says this really interesting thing, that we never have a hunger for something that doesn't exist. Like, there's never an animal that's hungry that can't eat, that doesn't have a mouth. Or there's never an animal, that's not exactly what he said. He's like, there's never, basically, if you have an appetite for something, there's a fulfillment for the appetite, which to me says with our interest in these things that there is something else out there that we are supposed to be tapping into, which is why these leaders might seem crazy, like Hitler or whomever else has gone for artifacts. Like, I don't know who led the Crusades besides the Catholic Church, but
yeah, besides the Pope and whoever the kings were at the time.
Right. Yeah. So like this idea of, yes, there's a second realm that we as humans are supposed to have access to, because there's an appetite, not necessarily like food, but there's an appetite emotionally, spiritually, intellectually for tapping into this thing. And we see show after show after show that feeds the appetite that we as humans are like, oh yeah, we have this draw, we have this pull for this thing.
And so we're seeing some of that sort of now in the show, because like we've gotten a little bit of hints. It's like trying to think, like we didn't get it in this sort of a way before. Before it was, we had a lot of mystery about C2 and various little pieces given to us here and there, and now we're given this, which isn't actually necessarily connected narratively with C2 at the moment, but like we can
directly, not directly.
Yeah, we can infer, like, obviously there's some sort of connection. It's not revealed through C2, but it's got some. She's in some way obviously connected
because Geass, therefore connected.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and yeah, it's like here's these ruins that are apparently all over the world.
She has to have some sort of telekinetic. Maybe it's not telekinetic.
Telekinetic is moving things.
Telekinesis?
Telepathic.
Telepathic. Thank you. She has to have some sort of telepathic connection with this thing. So, like, one of her powers has to be she can give people Geass.
Yep.
She has telepathic abilities in some sense. Like, those two things are for sure because we've seen evidence of those in the show.
She has something else because she's able to, like, somehow like connect. If she was able to like connect Lelouch and connect Suzaku into some other worldly thing that gave them nightmare visions.
Right, almost like an operator from the 50s, like telephone operator.
Yeah, so it's like she's able to be like, plug you into this thing that is going to scare the living out of you. Right.
Again, that ethereal plane, that thing, that other realm.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is when she spoke up to show voice and leadership in that meeting where everyone was having problems, I thought she was going to use Geass on this guy.
And she was
that was kind of the tone she was going for.
Oh yeah, no, she was just like, you are like a little maggot. You loud. You have
vulgar thoughts.
Yeah, that's what it was. You vulgar person.
Well, she said you have vulgar thoughts, I think.
Yeah.
You'll have to review that.
You are a person who only has vulgar ideas or something like that. It's like
which
you
means
are
that
only
she
a vulgar
also
person.
can, like, what's interesting is maybe all of the Geass types that she gives out, because Mao could hear people's thoughts.
Yeah.
That it's not just how it manifests for the person, but she can give that specific thing. Because if she knows he has vulgar thoughts, then it's perhaps...
Is that because she's just really intuitive, or is it because she's connected to something else?
Right. I don't know. Because I don't think that we have evidence, as far as I can remember, for such things.
Yeah. Not much about her has been revealed.
Clovis in the cave, I thought was interesting. The father's interested in these two. Was Clovis working with his dad? Who knows?
Well, I don't think he was working with his dad. I say that because of the way that Clovis was originally, if knowledge about her comes out, I'll be disinherited. Way back that line early on in the show. Something about C2 and his discovery then or Bartley's discovery of this place is in some way not connected with the Emperor. Because Bartley even also had said, I don't know, this is just my speculation, but I think we're invading these other countries to find these ruins also. So it definitely, in my mind, shows that they're operating independently from the Emperor.
Sure. I thought it was interesting, the surprise of seeing new tech on a battlefield.
So are you referring to the way
airship?
The way the airship shows up and the way like Lloyd is like, what?
And everyone's like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's just a thing for us to like it's interesting for the world.
Oh yeah.
But the idea of what is the world's reaction when you bring, like when, I don't know if it was a Civil War where they had cannons, like whatever. Like the first time a cannon was shown. Like the invention of a cannon.
Yeah, or World War I when the tank first shows up.
Yeah, something like that. And you're like, oh, I don't like this. This is not good.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Like when the orcs blow up the thing at Helm's Deep to get in, you know?
And you're like, oh.
And you see King Theoden just like, Oh.
Things are bad right now.
Yep.
Things are bad.
So something else. Shoot, I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry.
So, oh yeah, but so even like connecting that in of having something new, but also then being able to follow up that something new with kind of a little bit of a conversation through the eyes of Lloyd, who's a scientist. So like, I can already think of different ways we can do that with characters and other things too. But so there's that. Of just like then being able to see that through the lens of somebody who understands it and is also excited about it. So yeah, we're seeing a little bit of Lloyd's patron, Schneisel, in that sense too. Something that was said on the island, actually, getting back with that, Lelouch had said something when he was talking with Yuffie, was Lelouch only wants one thing. Lelouch only wants one thing. He wants to know about the circumstances around his mother's death. Which, I mean, you and I have kind of just made, his actions have made that apparent to us. Right. But now he's saying that also. This is like, he only wants one thing.
Do you think the Geass was, that they stood on the platform, was triggered because they stood there? Or do you think someone triggered it? No, why am I asking you? I think it was triggered by someone. I was like, wait, who's leading the show?
Like, well, there's two things. Yeah, because there's two things. There's like Lelouch has Geass, was him walking on there because he did walk onto that space and then it activated. Right. Or was it through the connection of whatever the smiling blonde child on the floating sky thing? Was he the one that did that?
Makes me think that it was them because. But yeah.
And so what even is that sort of thing? Like them stepping on this certain place, which then collapses these pillars so they fall down right in front of what looks like a door, but is just like stone carved into a wall. But like even, you know?
I don't know. Why is there no password on the mech?
Or that's bull. Well, here's the thing though, it's like all of the mechs that they've ever shown have passwords, but they've said that it was already on and running. Right. So it was just sitting there running. And I understand because this situation of Lelouch stealing the Gawain is highly contrived. Like, yes, that is so contrived, but there is also still, even though it is contrived as hell, there's still something a little bit funny about just like, oh, hey, let's steal this, escape.
And all the soldiers, like this moment needs to, like, they should have, with the director or the producer, someone should have been like,
this needs a little bit more happening. This is a little bit too much like butter on a hot pan. Like, oh yeah, just slides through. No problem. Like, should have upped the conflict a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
There was no
like. Well, the stone thing they're on elevated them like 6 feet up, so they're actually like right at shoulder height of the thing. So yeah,
that doesn't bother me.
Right. It is.
She's on the outside of the mech. The mech has no password. They're shooting at them. She doesn't even get injured. Like, show me, just cop out. Show me a shield. Show me a shield. Shields are up. Boom. Great. Done. Solved.
I will
problem solved.
I will completely grant you that was contrived as hell.
But the second that they're not near the princess, those soldiers would have fired at them. Something like.
Well, they showed them. It showed them apparently they'd somehow climbed up on top of the thing because Callan did like a weird like spinny kick to one of them to get away. But no, super contrived as hell. Granted that it is contrived as hell, and we just needing to run with it. It is a little bit funny.
Yeah. All right. And then the JLF seemed to be invading.
So yeah, the episode ends where it's not even the JLF. Boats coming from China. Boats sailing in from China with the Japanese flag on them have just appeared and have started attacking the shore. So obviously that's what the next episode is going to be about, and that being a teaser for the next episode.
No, probably not the next episode.
We'll see next episode what's going on with that. But staying in this one, the last thing I'd had was in regards to something Yuffie had said about, like, I wish we could go back. Wouldn't it be nice to go back to where we were before? But that something Millie had said in a previous episode, nothing stays the same, everything changes, or something along those lines.
The only constant is change. I don't know what she said, but that's what she said.
Yeah, but basically, and like how seeing that opposite there about how everything changes being a thing of hope, and yet for Yuffie, she has communicated this sort of longing for the good old days of yore sort of thing, which is the opposite of hope. So despite her in a way being, she's kind of been established as this compassionate, kind, caring, loving.
Do you want to get philosophical?
A little bit, but even then, like in that but still, even despite being all of these wonderful, kind of maybe even motherly things about her, when there was this thing about when the two parties on the island confronted each other, and Callan's like, "You're useless. You can't do all of this." Like she just like lit up like fire for a brief moment. Like what? Excuse me. Yep. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. So you were gonna get it.
Yeah,
you wanted to get into something off of
well,
that.
yeah. 'Cause philosophically speaking, it's vanity to believe that time we've lost. We've like, to go back to the good old days. I love Blaise Pascal. I'm gonna quote him again. He's got Pensée. I know this one's 47 because I love it so much. Pensée number 47. Look it up, read it, and then get punched in the gut intellectually and philosophically by Blaise, which is just a cool name. He says that if you spend all your time thinking that time has slipped away too quickly, the good old days, or that the future hasn't come quick enough, hey, I'm trying to right the world to make my sister happy. If you spend your time in those two places, which most people do and don't live in the present, not for the present, in the present, because that's different.
Yeah.
For the present.
Live for the future in the present. Or maybe there's a different way to word that.
I think you're right, but let me finish.
Yeah. Go on.
So if you think that time has slipped away too quickly or the future hasn't come quick enough, that's vanity. Both of those are vanity. And you're going to inevitably never be happy because you think, it's gone.
Tomorrow,
or, it's not here enough.
Tomorrow is always tomorrow. Yesterday is always yesterday.
You'll never be happy, so you'll always be in this state that, he says, you'll always be toiling with times that don't belong to you. The future, which isn't yet, and the past, which is gone. Therefore, you'll never be happy. And thus, you're vain. Because you think that you deserve or like are entitled to, basically, the time that left or the time that's not here yet. And so, you're not in today. And yeah, today might have been hard. You might have got fired. You might have had your spouse break up with you. You might be getting divorced. I don't know. Like, you may have just lost all your money in a business venture. I don't know. But today, like, kind of getting into what Millie said, like, yeah, the only constant's change. So there's hope in that. But this all gets back to perspective and purpose and identity. Like, these things are all very much tied together about being absolute truths that exist in the world. We as humans experience this. And so knowing this, like, man, the first time I read Blaise's stuff, you're like, oh, yeah, people do that all the time. People do that. And then you get to the end and you're like, that's me. And you just like get punched in the gut by it. But you're like, he's talking to me. I am the person I am this person. And so then you have to either continue living life and ignore the fact that you have new information about this, because you're responsible for everything that you have information about, or you change, which is hard.
There is so much that could be said on a lot of these things. I
know. That's why I asked. Do you want me to get philosophical?
No, like, this is great.
We do want to watch the next episode.
We do want to get to the next episode. We could go on for forever, I'm sure, about this. Maybe some other time, some other place, some other way, maybe we will. But,
tied up.
But next episode, we got, Japan flagged ships from China are coming in, and that's going to be what happens next episode. We have said a lot of things about a lot of things.
Sorry, future Kristopher. Or present Kristopher, because you're watching it. Okay, just pause it. It's fine.
But so there's going to be a lot of stuff. Tell us what you think about anything.
Yeah, any of it.
If you want to make the conversation easier to follow, maybe separate them with headings and to make it clear of what the heck you're talking about.
Also,
but share your thoughts about any of this stuff. There was a lot that was said. We're going to end this video.
Yeah.
And we're going to jump into the next episode for the next week thing that you see. But
feel free to send this to friends, like highlighted pieces, because we get pretty philosophical. Like, have them join in on the conversation. Like, share this with a buddy, share this with a pal, share this with a comrade if you're communist. Bye, guys.